This is not a test. Don't expect to be impressed. Put on your life vest. Sit down your armrest. It's time to stray from the grind. Don't take my hand, 'cause you'll find no peace of mind. Side quest.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Authors and Dragons Side Quest, the episodes we do when we're not doing the episodes for which the podcast is named and you predominantly know us, and in which I have a bit where I have to keep making this more complex. Why do I do these things to myself? Why? Anyway, I'm Drew Hayes. Joining me today is Rick Gualteri, John Hartness, Robert Bevan, and Steve Wetherill. Say hi in a not esoterically terrifying way, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Hello, you sons of bitches! Oh wait, you said not terrifying. I can't remember my line now, but hi.
Yeah,
That was a lot.
you've put me off there. Hello.
I have to keep increasing it every time, and where else to go but to the depths of despair?
Always a surefire win.
I work in publishing. I live in the depths of despair.
If you clicked on the title for this episode, I'm sure you're wondering what exactly this side quest consists on, because it's some sort of play on D&D Beyond. Because today we are talking about, well, DnDBeyond.com, the website where there is just a ton of books, character building, encounter building, just dice, everything that you would basically need to play Dungeons & Dragons online, except the actual mapping software, weirdly enough. They have not done any of that, but they do have a little add-on to Chrome that you can use, so you can play on Roll20 with all your D&D Beyond stuff, which is an interesting dynamic that we can talk about more at length, but our main goal for today is to rebuild everyone's characters in D&D Beyond. We're not changing the characters, but we're just migrating them to this system as a way to talk about it, a way to guide new people into it who might not be familiar with how D&D Beyond works, and also just a thing to have as a podcast, because the simple truth is we're not sponsored or anything. I pay for my subscription. I work for a living. Oh, as much as writing books is working for a living. But
I was about to say, we're not sponsored by D&D Beyond or Roll20, so I just want to say at the top that both systems are dog shit and you shouldn't use them.
there you go.
Now, mind you, if they call us and they say, "Hey, we'd like to sponsor you," Steve's going to edit that part out really quick.
Yeah.
I am willing to retract that statement.
For as little as, like, I don't know, $10 at Taco Bell. We may not be sponsored, but we're willing to be, and we're cheap whores.
Honestly, I'd chill for them if they just covered the yearly Dungeon Master cost, which is a thing we should talk about. There are some neat options and availabilities, but I think the main selling point of D&D Beyond is that it is so fucking convenient. And that's speaking as a Dungeon Master, because as crazy as it is to say, there is no other easily sortable, searchable index of monsters that exists that's not some weird spreadsheet that you can maybe find in the depths of Reddit if you're willing to be brave on your clicks.
Yeah, and like Roll20 has a 5e, I guess, playbook that's searchable, but the search kind of sucks. Unless you type in exactly what you're looking for, it pretty much comes up and it's like, nope, that doesn't exist. Also, the DM subscription to D&D Beyond gives you a lot more ability to create characters. I use it when I'm doing one-shots for conventions. I'll build everybody's character, print it out, and it'll make spell cards. For people who are doing multiple games, it's really good. And the thing that sold me on it was when one person in the campaign, or when your DM buys a bunch of the digital books, they can share it with everyone in the campaign. So basically, I'm just leeching off of Drew for any of the content because I don't want to buy it twice.
That is the way
of free books.
I got everybody to eventually start using this to an extent was just reminding them, hey everyone, I keep buying these books for the game that we do, so I have access to all the resources and stuff, but you guys can just have use of them freely if you want. That sharing feature is crazy good, and I hope doesn't go away now that Wizards of the Coast bought it.
Yeah, I was about to say, why would it go away, Drew? Oh wait.
Yeah, I thought this was owned by Wizards, but
I did too. Yeah.
It is now.
Yeah.
we were eventually right.
I wonder if it's something like DM's Guild where they cut some kind of working relationship dealio. Because Wizards doesn't own DM's Guild, but they can sell license. I don't know. They can do print shit.
Whatever the case, the world where the Dungeons and Dragons world is waiting to see if Wizards of the Coast comes in, takes this wonderful resource and ruins it.
Well, if the last couple of Magic the Gathering sets, the fucking thing that built the company, are any indication, we're all screwed. Because the last couple of sets have been kind of poopy.
Looking things over, it appears that only John and Bob need new characters, right? Because Rick and Steve have theirs, and Joe is not with us tonight.
Yeah, I'm a massive nerd. I make out I'm some kind of cool guy, and I guess everybody who listens to this podcast thinks that I'm really cool and have lots of friends. But in reality, I'm a little bit of a fucking nerd.
Yeah, and I'm like this hyper ADD rabbit. Drew mentioned like 3 months ago about like the concept of moving characters over to D&D Beyond, and I mean he was like, I have to do Silas now.
Well, now I'm glad you all did, because you can act as sort of our testimonials. But real quick, we're gonna start the migration process for Bob and John, and so the way we're gonna do that is.
I just want to say I really wanted to do this before, but I thought for the integrity of the podcast, we need somebody to guide the viewers through the process.
Yeah, the viewers. You have only just figured out that Jostra has hit points. That took you like 7 episodes.
I'm being selfless.
Well, this is good. This gives this kind of gives Klaus a chance to start from first level, but you could bring Fandango up to speed from 5th level.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So, step 1.
Cut a hole in the box.
Step 1, Drew's like, sink or swim, motherfuckers.
In case that was unclear, that was a question.
You guys should be able to see the screen upon which we have several of the characters. Some are from different games, but there are also some unassigned ones. So, Bob and John, on your campaign screen for your D&D Beyond account, you should see some unassigned characters down at the bottom. If you need to refresh, by all means go ahead. The one that says Bard is yours, John.
All right, I see Klaus. Claim
him. And then if you want to claim Fandango, it might be showing his name by now. I added them a while ago.
So while you're doing that, I'll say the biggest, I guess, hurdle for moving Silas over was that we originally started this campaign in Pathfinder, and I think the stats were pretty generous there. So we kept those when we moved over to 5e, which required a little bit of fudging in the character builder in Roll20, and it's the same thing here. So in order to keep the same stats, there was like a little bit of a homebrew to go back and be like, okay, let me raise Silas to the levels he needed. So let me go back and modify a few of these stats so they match what he had. And then even then, I wound up having to change around a few of my skills because it basically just said, no, the old skills you had didn't make sense.
Yeah, Roll20 was a little bit more loose about letting you kind of squeeze around the mechanics, whereas D&D Beyond, to its benefit, I think, doesn't let you do that. It kind of it makes you stay in things that actually work with the game mechanics that you're using, which is good. But it does mean I had to rejig a lot of Brandon's stats and kind of rewrite some of his history, but not any of the important stuff. I ended up sacrificing intelligence to keep his charisma up. That really fits the character anyway. And the Mariner feat that I made a big deal about last episode, it's gone now because that was not core content, so I can replicate it.
Another thing, Roll20 lets you go over 20 in like your stats, and because Silas had a 21 dexterity, and Beyond D&D Beyond was just like, no, motherfucker.
All right, I have claimed this Fandango.
Excellent. And I will claim this one so that I can have a dummy character to make alongside everybody.
Make alongside everybody else's dummy characters.
Yeah. I will recreate Gordon Skinflint, a character that was abandoned on the ship without hesitation.
Abandoned is a strong word. Left to babysit. We do still own that ship, right?
All right, so I will take this character, and we will go ahead and proceed to make/transfer a character in D&D Beyond. And I promise I will narrate through as we go, so folks don't have to go to the YouTube one. Although this is an episode where maybe you might want to go check out the YouTube, youtube.com/authors and dragons. We have a lot of fun shit there, and this is one where it's kind of supposed to be a bit of a guide, and a visual guide is a lot more effective, to be frank.
Also, if you don't frequently listen to our podcast and you're just discovering us on our YouTube because you want to know how to set up a character on D&D Beyond, welcome. We're absolutely this fucking insane every episode, and there are hundreds in our backlog, so please go back through, see what we do.
John, if that's the case, they stopped listening long before now.
I have faith. I have faith in Steve's ability to put some little bumper at the beginning of this to make us sound more competent.
I changed my picture. Should I have waited to do that and explain how I did it?
No, that's fine. You would just click right here. I'm not going to click it because I don't know what random ass file it's going to pull up on my whiteboard. So, yeah, that's where you would change your profile picture. But so the first one that you come to is your baseline, your character's most core page, your name, the sources that are going to be allowed. I'm going to click homebrew content because I have a feeling that's going to let me fiddle around with some of the settings you guys were having issues with.
Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely had to fudge some of the items that Brandon had that are kind of integral to his stats. Apparently, enchanted body oil does not exist in the 5e universe. It does now.
Yeah, I had the same problem with my jar of like toenail clippings and stuff.
Heaven forbid you should leave those behind.
All right, so dice rolling. This does have digital dice rolling as an option. I have some digital dice for it, so I'm going to keep that enabled. I don't think it matters tremendously.
They look pretty cool.
Oh, they do. But it's not going to make or break anything on your character if this is on. But if you can't get it to work, now you might want to go back and check that. Optional features. So there are some certain things that you can tweak on different characters. I'm going to turn on because I like all the fun supplemental stuff to look at. I'm not going to mess with customize my origin because I don't really give that much of a shit about the background feature. Advancement type. If y'all haven't figured it out, we do milestone in Authors and Dragons. And sometimes that milestone is just, holy shit, we've played for 2 years. You guys need to have a level.
Yeah, milestone, aka. Wait, you guys have been this level for how long?
Yeah, we did it by actually achieving things, and
We'd
we wouldn't
still
have
all be second level.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I do tend to
negative
kick
third
y'all
level.
up on like the ends of quests and stuff, but sometimes the quests take a long time, and it's like, this is too long. Story requirements. There's the answer. So for hit type points, this is sort of one of the choices you make, and you might want to talk to with your DM. Technically, either is allowed, but just always good to make sure they know what page you're on. So every class has a fixed hit point value when it goes up. and it's half the hit die plus 1, so it's slightly better than average. So, for example, if your hit die is a d12 as a barbarian, the fixed value you gain every level is 7, with the addition of your Constitution modifier, and we'll get to that later. Now, the other option is you can actually roll that d12, and if you get a 1, you gain 1 hit point increase for that level. If you get a 12, you go up by 12. I like the fixed one. I've been fucked too many times by terrible rolls that just wrecked, what otherwise should have been a good functional character. So I roll with that. But either is fine in my game. But always make sure your DM knows so they can tell you how they want you to roll in front of them and etc. for hit die, because that's a big character changing mechanic.
I too have been fucked, but I keep gambling.
I'm going to turn off prereqs for feats and multiclass. I don't normally do that because I play 5e straight through, but for this game, because we're migrating content from an older system, the goal of moving to 5e is not to strip down their characters of stuff that they have earned, which, swinging back to, Steve, you don't have to get rid of your Mariner feat. The goal is just to make it so y'all have options to stuff that's easier. So, I'm turning those off because we might have things that worked under old systems that don't here, and I just don't want the D&D Beyond throwing up a red flag for no reason.
And let's be very clear, we had a lot of fun on Pathfinder, but 5e is so much fucking easier.
Oh god, yeah. From a fucking running perspective, my god, yes.
Now, if we would only forget all the rules we learned in Pathfinder that we keep asking, does shooting into combat give you a disadvantage?
God, I can't fucking remember on that. Played too many systems. Show level scaled spells, I absolutely keep that. It's a neat feature that reminds you that you can upgrade spells into different slots for more options. I think it's always handy to have. Encumbrance type, I am not going to keep up with encumbrance because we have so shoddy with our inventory. It's kind of fucking pointless. I do ignore coin weight. I know coins have weight, but to be honest, that's the one rule that even my shittiest GMs were like, God, fuck no. Who wants to deal with that? So, God,
I would just
fuck
like
no.
to say to the people who keep asking on our Discord and Facebook and YouTube, but what about the item they had 15 episodes ago? That's gone. Right? It's just gone. There's no magical explanation. They just lost it because we don't pay attention.
They're very irresponsible.
It's in canon. Yeah, we're idiots. So
Yeah, Klaus is wearing pants made out of alligator skins. He ain't holding shit.
you mean Klaus is wrapped in the flesh of dead alligators?
I think Authors and Dragons, Canonically Idiots, is a great T-shirt, though.
Oh, that is a good one. All right. So for the rest of it, this is just sort of display options, how you like your ability score modifier shown, and if you want your character private or public. I'm setting mine to private, even though we have a screenshot of me building it. So what the fuck am I doing? All right. Next up is where you should be picking your race. For both Klaus and Fandango, if I'm correct, that is going to be the half-elf.
That is correct.
Wait. We had an option to all be giant apes.
Wait, what?
If we'd known that, we'd all be giant apes.
Exactly.
Where? Oh, yeah. Huh. Oh, no, that's not from the real stuff. That was one of the characters that you wisely did not fight on the Isle of Warlock Monroe.
Oh. But
That was diplomatic of us.
Yeah. Good call. I had some fun twists for that one.
I noticed there's a high half-elf. Is that just a variant for Fandango? Or?
that's Fandango after he leaves Gunther.
So I'll go ahead and select half-elf just to kind of show.
Is there a low half-elf?
Probably.
Well, we know who that one's going to be.
So when you select it, it allows you to pick some of the customizable stuff for the class. So in the case of the half-elf, it is you can get a bump to one of your... You get 2 scores that increase by 1 each. Ugh, sorry, that was a lot harder than it needed to be. And you select those during the creation. So obviously, if I was making Gunther as a half elf, or not Gunther, Gordon. I used too many damn G names. If I was making Gordon as a half elf, I would probably throw something into his wisdom, given his build. But he is not actually a half elf. He is.
As I say, he's stuck with us. There's not a lot of wisdom behind that.
Where is it? He's a wood elf. Bam. Okay.
Now there's Klaus's subclass.
All right. So, Fandango, Klaus, have y'all successfully recreated your races?
I got my race, but all right. It says my charisma score increases by 2, and 2 other ability scores increase by 1. I don't think that's going to let me bump up my dexterity to 20.
No, probably not. But again, don't worry about. Just put them into Dex for now, and we'll.
I can
bump
put
up the
1
rest
into
of-
Dex.
Yeah, you can go back and modify it later
Yeah.
once like
Oh,
you
all
built
right.
it.
Yeah, we're not redoing your scores. We're just this is just creating everything and then pushing
Okay.
through. We'll fix that in the ability section.
Okay. Dark vision, skill versatility.
At some point, I had written down that my third language. Who fucking knew?
What is it?
Glad it hasn't been necessary for me to speak halfling.
Wouldn't it be great if it was Gnome? And I just put the whole Gentronome facility in a different line.
I'm really, really surprised it wasn't gnome, to be
Well,
honest.
I could speak gnome, and we still didn't know what was going on. Doesn't matter if you speak gnome if you're not paying attention.
You're just the translator that whole time.
No, all right. I did choose a language. I got halfling. All right. I guess I'll choose that. That's lame. I should have chosen infernal. All right. Yeah. Done with that tab.
All right, then we move on to the class section.
Klaus should really speak bear.
For Klaus, it will be Rogue. For Fandango, it will be Bard. For Gordon Skinflint, it is actually a mix. He is a dual class. So we will start with his Druid class.
I also have a level of wizard.
That's something I did notice while I was doing this for Stan Dandy Liver. It's quite easy to multi-class in D&D Beyond.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It handles a ton of the issues. So you get to pick your proficiencies. These are the skills that you have a natural aptitude for. In the case of Gordon, the initial ones he has are survival and arcana. Now up here, right near the top, you will see a little level section. You all should be level 10.
Yeah.
So don't forget to go ahead and bump yourself up to that. That way we can kind of go through all this once rather than having to run back through and do the level up.
10
All right. So that would make me rogue level 9, wizard level 1, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And do I do the multi-class here?
Yes, we're going to, since he's a multi-class, I'll show you how to do it. But first we're going to go through and do all of our first class stuff.
Okay.
So, and since we're higher level, we're going to make some, choices that occur kind of deeper in. You'll see the wild shape thing. The Druid Circle choice occurs when you hit second level of Druid. For Gordon Skinflint, it is a Circle of the Moon, because he is a fun shape-changey type.
You'll be pleased to know that I managed to create my own path of the Temple of the Many Fists in
Excellent.
D&D Beyond. Again, surprisingly easy.
So, ability score improvement happens at 4th level, and I think 8th level, and so forth. Yeah, I think it's every 4. Oh, it's written here, right here in front of me. Jesus. 4th, 8th, 12th, 16th, and 19th. Now, here is where the catch is. That is class level, not character level. So, that's one of the penalties of multi-classing, is that whenever when everyone else is hitting character 8 and getting their ability bump, you're 1, 2, 3, however many levels behind. So that is sort of the trade-off. You can eventually get them, but it's a little bit less of a balanced stream. The other thing that's unique to 5e is that at these points, you actually get a choice between an ability score of 2 increases. You can increase 1 score by 2 or 2 scores by 1, or you can pick a feat. And if you're coming to 5e from 3.5 or Pathfinder, that might sound like a really shitty deal. And it's not, because feats in 5th edition are so much more potent than they ever were. Did anybody take a feat in their rebuild?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, their sharpshooter is a feat.
Yeah. And what all does that do, Rick? Just all the various benefits of sharpshooter.
Well, sharpshooter ensures that Klaus misses every single time, but
I don't need sharpshooter for that.
but outside of that, sharpshooter it's a -5 to hit, but if you hit, you get +10 to damage.
But aren't there other side benefits of that
Yes.
feat itself?
There's a whole bunch of this stuff on the character.
Well, I mean, I'm adding it to my thing right now. You have mastered ranged weapons that can make shots that others find impossible. You gain the following benefits. Attacking at long range doesn't impose disadvantage on your ranged weapon attack rolls. Your ranged weapon attacks ignore half cover and 3/4 cover. And before you make an attack with a ranged weapon that you're proficient with, you can choose to take a -5 penalty of the attack roll. If the attack hits, you add 10 to the damage.
Yeah, so those are a lot. Like, that last one is a neat trick, but those first two are really powerful because the range on like a bow for the long is multiple times over what it is for the short. So being able to just fire at those incredible distances without any disadvantage, that's a fucking tactical game changer. And then saying go screw yourself to half and 3/4 cover is just fucking so much icing.
Yeah, that's basically saying, oh, this person's just staring at me through an arrow slit. Who cares?
Yeah, like
6 miles away.
like that's an incredible amount of power for a feat compared to what a 3/5 feat would have been. So at this point, if you're just coming into it, you might have some hard decisions to make. I would say don't skim past the feats immediately. They are absolutely worth considering and looking over for your build. I am bumping up Gordon's wisdom score after all of that because that's what I did when I built him. Bear in mind, he is an NPC. He might not be made with the same level of complexity I would make a character for my own use.
So one of my feats isn't showing up on our list.
Okay, what feat?
Silver-tongued.
And what does that do?
It gives me +1 to charisma and proficiency in deception and a pile of shit that I've never used. So I think it's easy enough. I'll just flip that to bumping my charisma.
We can go through and look at some of the feats because they do have a lot of feats that do a bump to charisma.
That's true.
So if we can find one, and I think some they're similar to that. So actor +1 charisma, skilled at mimicry and deceptions.
So silver-tongued is part of Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah.
So if that book's not chosen, that might be why it's not showing up.
But
yeah, this is why I abandoned.
This will get me exactly what I need. Just skill expert, because it'll give me the pieces of it that I need. It'll give me a +1 to charisma, and I can get proficiency in a skill, which would be deception.
Perfect.
So yeah,
and it gives you an expertise.
Yes.
Ooh, that's always nice. Expertise is basically double proficiency, and we will get to proficiencies in a moment. But so we have reached the end of the first character class. For Vendingo, who is making a level 10 bard, this should be the end of the class tab. For Bob and I, we're going to hit add another class.
Yeah, I'm just going to finish this out because
I'm still looking at other feats. I got another one apparently.
All right. Well, hopefully you saw what I did there.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
No, I didn't see shit. I was looking
The other person who's making a multi-class.
All right, just a second. All right, I can go back and change this later, huh?
No. Once you make it, it's set forever. God, that would be a fucking Wizards feature. You got to pay to change it.
Oh God! Don't even give them ideas.
Oh God, no! I'm putting ideas out there.
Now, did you just click the next tab?
No, so go
no.
down here.
All right.
Add another class.
Oh, there it is. Add another class. Okay.
Foresee a future where we're leveling up as a microtransaction.
God.
Oh God,
Wizard.
yeah. That
So
would
for
be
you, I'll
the-
pick Wizard. I will pick Monk
class.
for Gordon Skinflint.
Okay.
And I actually haven't
Level
leveled
1.
him to 10. I don't remember if he's going to get a Druid or Monk level, so we're just going to make him at 9 for now. And it's just like the first one. You go down, you have everything. Since I have all my hit points set to the standard, I don't have any sort of rolling to work out. For Monistic Tradition, I pick Way of the Shadow.
Boop. So in some ways, Gordon Skinflint is like Brandon Thigh Master, except not good.
Truth be told, he actually is a machine in combat. I just never really use him for combat.
Just
There is
chooses not
so
to
much
be.
shit in here that, like, I didn't do anything when I hit 10th level except roll fucking hit points. I got a new expertise. I was supposed to get more spells. I didn't do any of that shit.
And that's part of the benefit of doing it through a system like D&D Beyond, is it will kind of walk you through that whole path. So, and speaking of spells, I have some spells to add to Gordon's repertoire, which is all still on the class page. As you can see, there's the spells tab under Druid. I don't have one for Monk because monks don't have spells.
That is one thing I did notice about D&D Beyond, especially when it came to making homebrew content. It's quite hard to get key-related abilities to function in the same way as spells do, which would have been nice. But and do it. You just have to. That's one thing that you still have to keep track of outside of mechanics is your key point expenditure. Unfortunately,
That kind of sucks.
yeah, it
Yeah,
seems
like-
like an oversight. But then again, people overlooking the monk class, I get it.
I mean, you could. At least Monk isn't the one that's legendary for being useless.
It's like, did you not have the guts to commit to a fighter? Try and be a monk.
So as y'all can see, the way you select spells is, for at least for a druid, is you just kind of go through and prepare. I am selecting Gordons as I had made them. Probably going to change these up in the future, but
Yeah, it was similar. Build in Silas. I don't think Prepare was there, but it was like, prayed for or something.
I'm a little confused with the difference between prepared spells and the spell book. All right.
Well, spellbooks are spells you can choose from. Prepared is basically
What you've
you
got
studied,
on you
what-
right now?
Well, no, what you studied the night before, so you're
Right.
ready to cast.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, so if you have extra spells in your spell book, in theory, when we take a long rest, you could just say, okay, I'm going to change these out. We never do, but we could.
we could. All right. Is anybody still working on the class tab?
No, I'm good. I'm assigning stats.
All right. We're going to move on to abilities. Now, traditionally in 5e, you're going to go with probably a standard array, which is what the majority of folks who are playing 5e do. It's nice, it's balanced, it's easy. It does the job well. For this one, because we're bringing in characters from that older system that had, their own shit going on, we are going to do manual / rolled. Because we're going to be putting in stats that are much higher than I think what the majority of 5e creation would support. But hey, that's the perk of having things that survive over so many campaigns.
I did this the really complicated way, actually, Drew, because I thought that doing this manual dice roll was the coward's way out. So what I did instead was rejig all my stats so they kind of balanced out, and then use some of the unusual equipment that Brandon has to have stat modifiers built into them. So I could use that to sort of fill out the lack of points I had by trying to do this the honorable way. So what I'm saying is I cheated in a different way.
Yeah, I was gonna say I went the total coward's way.
I didn't realize that was an option.
It's like, well, that sounds really hard. This is definitely the similar. Just transferring over his old stats.
On the plus side, I did have a lot of fun making ridiculous items in the D&D Beyond mechanics. So there's some golden shorts floating out there somewhere.
I was 1,000% just dicking with point buy again and again and again until I could get things hit the right number. But yeah, manual's a lot easier.
Yeah, but now we know that we can steal Brandon's shorts for a stat boost. He's never gonna be safe.
Remember to note that you will get some ability increases from your race. So when you're copying over your stats from your old characters, make sure you're deducting for those bumps that are going to go in automatically. For example, I know that Gordon has a 18 wisdom total. So I have a 16 plopped in there since he gets a +2 racially.
Yeah, the max I'm able to do on Dex is 18, and I was only able to add 1 racially for dexterity. So the max I can go is 19.
Yeah, it's not going to let you go over 20.
I don't need to go over 20. I just need to get to 20.
Where it says total under the Dex.
No, that's 19 because the maximum it'll let me enter is 18, and I bumped up Dex by 1 on the race tab.
Ah, is this a coward-proof system then? Hooray! You're gonna have to cheat and make yourself some enchanted holy underpants of being a shitty rogue.
Yeah, we'll have to throw some sort of enchanted item on you or something.
All right.
The rotting alligator shorts of dexterity.
All right, so that's something to keep in mind if you're transferring over from old systems.
Yeah, I mean, the plus side is Klaus does have a lot of weird items that definitely don't exist yet.
So once you have your scores punched in, you hit next. Now, background is a D&D 5e option that conveys certain skill and other bonuses. I have no idea what anyone has picked for theirs, so I can't really guide them through. I just know what I have for Gordon. So he has this one. So you get to pick like a bonus language, which is apparently Goblin. What the fuck, Gordon?
He spends a lot of time as a goblin.
Yeah,
that makes actually sense now that I think about that for a second.
On roll 20, I've got thief, but that doesn't appear to be an option. There's criminal/spy.
That seems like a pretty good translation from thief.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever picked anything like this.
I believe I've got a gladiator background for.
Oh,
Brandon.
no, I would have. If I didn't, I should have picked entertainer. Duh.
Yeah, that seems like the natural choice.
Yeah, Silas wound up with Haunted 1.
Makes sense.
Those who look into your eyes can see that you have faced unimaginable horror.
They look into your eyes and know that you are unimaginable horror.
The only man haunted by his own god.
All right, so if everyone is done selecting their background, their tool proficiencies, languages, etc.,
I get another musical instrument.
we will move on to equipment.
Pan flute.
Now, this is probably the one we're not going to do entirely, because that would be a little bit tiring. But things we can transfer over that are pretty important are options like our gold. This one wants me to pick starting equipment, so I'm just going to pick gold. Add starting gold.
Yeah, the good thing is, under other possessions is a place where you can write all the weird shit that Drew's given us.
Yep, other possessions, current inventory, currency. So, now, for currency, I know that Gordon actually has... Jesus, Gordon, get your life together. He only has 15 gold. So,
I probably took it.
Yeah, if Gordon had more, we'd rob him.
yeah. This is where you can tweak all of those settings. So, I'm sure you guys have a lot more than that number of gold. But this is also where you can add items. So, for example, one thing I know a lot of you have recently is potions of healing, because you picked some up. So, you can just hit healing, on the filter right there, and it will bring up Potion of Healing Greater, Potion of Healing Superior. I did make sure to tell you what they were as you wrote them down, because I've been using these since. Supreme. All right, Steve, how did you make equipment with an inherent magical boost to bump your stat?
I just typed in studded leather, and one of the options is studded leather +1.
Well, that's not going to bump your dexterity. That's going to bump your AC.
Yeah, that's what I did. Basically, AC you can't fuck with anyway. So my brand of Firemaster in the old game has an AC of about 20. About 3 of those are from unusual circumstances and items, so I had to recreate those. Basically, you just have to go into Homebrew, and all I did was find something similar and reskin it. It's not that complicated. You can put like boost to charisma or dexterity in it. You can put. I created the Broom of Doom and gave it a sweeping option that creates a fog cloud. I recreated the Hurricane Staff with the inbuilt Gust of Wind spell. That's all quite easy to do. It does take a bit of time, though. I don't know.
Well, you know what, Steve? Why don't you take over the screen share? Because we're pretty much done except for equipment now, and that's the long, boring part. I don't think people want to see. But if you could screen share and just show us, like, walk us into where you get to the homebrew section and stuff like that, I think that'd be pretty valid.
I could give it a go. And we can also include in this tutorial episode, how does Steve screen share?
Well, while we're waiting for that, we should probably mention that in order to get all these to work together, people are going to want to grab a browser extension called, what is it, Beyond 20? And Beyond 20, it primarily works in Google Chrome, but it does work in Microsoft Edge. I know because I have it running.
Oh my God.
Edge is not a bad browser.
So you're the one that's got it running.
But anyway,
the one non-Microsoft employee that's got it running.
It's not a bad browser. But anyway, Beyond 20, you put in your stuff. You put in your stuff, and it will connect. Yeah, it will connect DnD Beyond with Roll20. So when you roll your stuff on DnD, your DnD Beyond character sheet, it shows up in your Roll20 campaign.
Oh, something else that we should mention while Steve is sorting the screen share. That feature that we lauded earlier, that ability to share your books with everybody, that is not free. That is not an inherent part of D&D Beyond. They have free services, which include things like a certain number of character slots and things like that. But you have to, of course, pay for the books. And I have a Dungeon Master premium thing subscription, which gives me access to a lot of the tools and perks that make running a game handy. And one of the big ones is that ability to share books with everyone in my campaign. So that is one of the main perks of that subscription. I do want to make sure we're representing that service accurately, not getting people thinking they can roll in and get access to that part freely. Sadly, that part has a paywall.
Pony up, cheapskates.
It's $55 a year. It's not bad for all that you get.
Yeah, I bought it. I use it because, like I said, when I'm running one shots at conventions, it lets me send character sheets to.
Come on, vamp.
I'm just picking spells. My shit's boring right now.
I got old pot from fish people.
Oh yeah, I'm not even inserting the bullshit inventory yet. I'll do that later because that's going to take a year.
My ring that inspires great jumping, jar of toenails and goblin teeth.
Yeah,
I'm still holding on to 2,500 Gentronome bucks for some reason.
I think I have thousands of Gentronome bucks.
That was the joy of Gentronome bucks. It was the sense of even as you were making progress, you knew it was kind of limited.
Okay, so Amulet of the Mighty Fist didn't exist in 5e, even though I did have it. Braces +1 doesn't exist. The Broom of Doom clearly didn't exist. The Enchanted Body Oil. So I made all of these, and some of them were just reskinning things, like the Fanny Pack of Holding is just a bag of holding with a different name. Sunglasses is just an item I made. even though I think there are some stats for sunglasses out there, there weren't on the D&D Beyond system. And it's nice to have them in the system because you just equip them and it does everything for you if it's done right. So all I did was basically go to my homebrew creations, create a whatever, background, feat, magic item. You can't create mundane items. You can just, well, you can. You can just create a mundane item and call it a magical item. And you can basically use other things if you like as a sort of baseline. So we'll start with or you can create from scratch, but it's nice to have sort of an example laid out before you so you know what you've got to do and where you've got to go. So say I want to call this the ring of not acid resistance version 1. We'll make this common because that doesn't sound very good. It's a ring. Let's say this ring is not great for acid. You don't have resistance to acid damage while wearing this shitty ring. Now, it's already got a modifier in there. It'll have modifiers, conditions, spells. You can load it up with spells, which is pretty cool. In this case, we want to edit the modifier. First of all, we'll save changes here. Edit the modifier, so instead of resistance, I guess it gives vulnerability to acid. And there's all sorts of cool things you can do here. You can have like advantage on ability checks, say for charisma, which is something I did in this. I created a enchanted body oil, which when applied gives you an advantage on charisma checks for an hour, but also makes you very susceptible to fire damage. So again, that's just taking something that we've joked about and making an amusing mechanic about it. But at the minute, we're just making this incredibly unhelpful ring.
All right. Now I'm doing this. I made a member of dexterity to give him my extra dexterity point.
That does imply that your member is false.
It just that it's so big. It gives me the balance I need.
Did you find the dick of Vecna somewhere and grabbed it?
Now, all right. I'm doing all the required fields: name, rarity, and artifact, base item type, item, magic item type, rod. But where do you put the +1 dex part of it?
It's not in conditions, because conditions are basically for things that, like, if you want it to render you unconscious or whatever, make this ring of not acid resistance even worse. So yeah, you can add multiple modifiers if you wanted, for example, to give a bonus to anything, really. There's quite a lot here. There's not everything. There's still some annoying gaps, but
yeah, there was Constitution scores, right? But or
Dexterity
score. Scroll down.
Dexterity score.
I'm guessing that's going to be it.
Yeah, we should just be able to go like fixed value 1, and that should do it. I've just made this ring a lot better, but I'm going to delete that later. I'm going to leave the ring of not acid resistance after I'm finished here and just put that out into the world, just to be tedious. But yeah, providing there's no like annoying attunements, there shouldn't be in additional information. You can give it charges and stuff, and that's very cool. And you can give it custom art weight and weight if you care about those things, which I do not. Just trying to find out where the boring attunement stuff is. Yeah, requires attunement. Uncheck that.
Attunements for nerds, man.
Yeah, that means it's going to take some time to do. Nobody wants that.
Who's got time? I don't play D&D because I got... That's actually the truth thing. I don't play D&D because I have time. Jesus.
I don't do things
Too
I like
real.
because I have time. So now that that's saved, that should be in my homebrew collection, along with all the other cool stuff. Ring of Not Acid Resistance. So if I go to my character now, I'm going to do this the convoluted way. It's the only way I know how to do things. Go to my equipment. I should just be able to add this instantly now. Ring of Not Acid. Yeah, there it is. Put that in my inventory. Ring of Not Acid Resistance. Let's use that bad boy. Yeah, my dex was 18, and donning the Ring of Not Acid Resistance has bumped up to 19 and made me vulnerable to acid damage.
Awesome.
So I'm going to unequip that while I remember. I don't want to be extra vulnerable to acid. We've run into acid quite a lot. That's it's not a good trade-off.
You guys do love your drugs. All right. Well,
I resemble that remark.
That's a pretty solid walkthrough for the general creation of a character in D&D Beyond. Now, if you're wondering how this benefits playing and everything, you might notice on Steve's screen that he just stopped sharing as I said that. All right, we'll toss to Rick to share his screen to show how the Beyond 20 rolling kind of system works.
Okay. All right. So here, just so we can see this. So I have our game open here. You can see my screen, right?
Yep.
All right. So I'll just have Silas do a long sword attack. I'll just click that. It appears here. And you see Silas rolled a 10, which means he isn't hitting shit.
So, as most of us use, many screens or at least a split screen or what have you, this is the little integration where you can build all your D&D 5e stuff in D&D Beyond. You can level up there easily. You can track stuff. And then you can just throw it directly into Roll20, the mapping and playing system, rather than, rebuilding it on their stuff for no real reason other than just to complicate your life. It is weird. It is weird that this giant ass system for all this stuff exists, and then they don't have the mapping one. But it's a lot less weird now that I know that Wizards of the Coast didn't own them.
Yeah. And the Beyond D&D stuff, you don't have to have another tab. If you open another browser window, put it in a second screen, it'll work just fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do, yeah.
And that's how I do it. I'll keep Roll20 on one screen, I'll keep D&D Beyond on the other screen, and then therefore I don't have to screw around when Drew's like, click on your character and roll initiative.
Yeah, Drew, you asshole.
Making us roll initiative like a piece of shit. So that is kind of the introduction to D&D Beyond, how building a character works, how rolling works. It's kind of important to note that a lot of the stuff that you saw as an option on this is there because I have bought a lot of the books. You will not see as many races or class options and stuff unless you've also picked up some of the stuff. I'm not going to say it's worth it to invest in everything on here. But if you are a DM, holy shit, is the monster manual worth it? Really can't drive that one home enough.
Yeah, 1,000%. Even if you only DM a few times a year, it's worth it.
Yeah, the ability to throw together an encounter to just be like, okay, I need something that's aquatic because that's where they are right now. And you just punch that. It's like, all right, well, let's trim down the CR a little bit. And then you just kind of skim through all right, well, this is all the stuff that's a good one. And you're like, well, maybe let's expand a little bit, find something that works. But God, I cannot tell you how long that process used to be with books or even digital books. It's fucking incomparable.
I really like how easy it is to put the weird quirky stuff we do into actual mechanics now. That is something because we do a lot of stuff for flavor rather than being at all useful in any way.
Hey, I rolled initiative.
Speaking of flavor,
Shut
my member of dexterity works. I now have a 20 dexterity.
There you go. See,
Well,
Just
cheers to
wouldn't
that.
get an enchanted penis in the regular game. We have to make these things for ourselves, and D&D Beyond allows us to do that in a way that's fair, balanced, and still disturbing.
I've got the fever for the flavor.
Oh no!
Oh god.
Don't think
Yeah.
wizards are going to approach us for that tagline, mate.
That is the big question, though. So, knowing that they weren't owned by Wizards directly does explain why they didn't build their own version of Roll20 or buy Roll20 outright. At the same time, how the fuck did they have license to just build and sell all of their shit?
Kickback. I mean,
there's a reason we thought they were owned by Wizards.
yeah.
At every turn, this looks like they have just the full fucking backing.
There was either some back end deal or they owned like a chunk of them. I don't know, but either way, Wizards owns them in full now. So we'll see what happens, for good or for bad. Although mostly probably for bad.
I don't know. I mean, in credit to them, Wizards are the ones who made 5e, and we do love the shit out of it. I do feel like at a certain point, Wizards has to either buy Roll20 or build their own. It's a little bit fucking embarrassing that they don't have any sort of online play system at this point.
I'm sure they're going to buy either this or what's the other one that a lot of people use, VTT or something? No, that just stands for Virtual Tabletop. There's another one that gets a lot of use that I'm sure they're going to acquire. I mean, when we all went into lockdown and people started playing Magic on a website called Spell Table, it didn't take Wizards 6 months to buy Spell Table. So...
yeah.
I
And
would
yet,
have said that's 5.5 months too long. It took them to do that, but sure.
well, here's some context. We were promised all of these online tools when they launched 4th fucking edition.
And you know something? Eventually, we got those tools, and they were a fucking disaster.
Did they ever make any sort of version? Like, I just saw Roll20. I walked away from D&D so hard when they screwed me on that release.
Yeah, there was a bunch of online stuff that came about with 4E, which honestly just came across as like lowest bidder. We promised, and we're going to deliver something, even if it's not good. And just for record, while you're buying things, Wizard of the Coast, if you buy Authors and Dragons, we will only say nice things about you.
Rent us, and we'll only say nice things about you.
You also get the Klaus Richter Rod of Dexterity.
That's a member of dexterity.
Throbs
that
at an
too.
odd heartbeat.
You do realize it's an item now, and we could steal it if we want and attach it to ourselves.
Oh, God!
If you want to attach my member to yourself, buy me a drink.
Isn't that how you ended up in Klaus?
I mean, Klaus did try to remove it himself at one point. That's when we got the
No,
rule.
Silas tried to remove it.
Your
I did a
hand,
damn
man.
good
Your
job.
hand.
Had he been successful, he would have got a +1 dex.
And +1 dicks.
He would have liked to tie it around his wrist or something, or tuck it into his headband or whatever. But he still would have got that +1.
He could have tied it around his torso.
Probably +1 intimidation, too.
Instead of a feather in my helmet, I just have a dick sticking.
Dragging on the ground behind you.
Have it hanging out the front of my helmet like an elephant trunk.
I mean, it is canon that Klaus has a big dick.
Yep.
Well, it's no longer just canon now; it's in the mechanics.
It's my canon.
It is a canon.
I'm just living in horror of the day that Jorser learns that there's an entire category called wondrous items.
Oh, God. No.
All right. Do we have any final questions for D&D Beyond before we wrap up this episode of Side Quest? If you're out there listening with questions, I can't hear you. That's not how time and or podcasting radios work.
Although, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment, and we might eventually remember to actually check and look for it.
You know where I bet it might get answered is at Authors and Dragons Con up in August. You know, the place where you can come ask these questions in person, and then we will fucking answer them, and you'll find out, as best we can, is not very good.
Ask me about my member.
Don't. Really,
Yeah,
really don't.
We might want to use this hotel again.
Yeah. What hotel is that, Rick?
I believe that is the Charlotte Hilton at University Place.
And when would people need to head up there for Authors and Dragons Con?
I believe that is the third weekend in August 19th to the 21st.
Awesome. Do we have any special guests that might be there?
Well, if they reserve their tickets early, that means they'll fill up the room block and we'll meet our guarantee and won't have to write a giant check. And then we'll be able to have the convention and they can meet people like Steve Rudzinski, the director of Shingles the Movie, and Matt Dinneman, the author of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series.
Not to mention all of your Authors and Dragons and Calamity Jane's cast, along with friends of the podcast such as Ben Robinson, Greg Slagle, and Ruby Wednesday.
And artist JLD. You want to get some sweet original artwork, which you definitely do.
His art is so fucking good.
It really is.
Some of the ridiculous things we asked of him, and then he just delivered shit that was so far, goddamn, so much better than it ever had need to be.
He likes the challenge.
He is the gleaming sheen on our turd.
Yeah, God, the man's a fucking talent. He really is. And you can shake his hand and tell him that in person at Authors and Dragons Con in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, you really should. He deserves it.
He does. We hope you will be there, and we certainly will be. And I forgot what we were doing when we led into this plug.
I think we were leaving.
Any
Okay,
questions?
No more questions?
Yes, you can show up at A&D Con and shake Klaus's member.
Also, if you want to talk general nerd shit with us, hop into the Discord. You have to pay to get in there because we don't want just any old riffraff. Yeah, we occasionally talk about gaming and stuff. There's a gaming channel in there.
And you can get access to that Discord via the Patreon. Patreon.com/AuthorsandDragons.
Man, this has been really great plugging, guys. People thought they were coming here to be educated, and then with wham, plugs, motherfucker.
Well, we did spend an entire thing walking them through a system we don't get any payment for, so, you know.
That's a good point. Someone's got to sponsor us.
And it's us right now.
Sponsor ourselves, yeah.
All right, everybody, we'll be back next week with an episode of Authors and Dragons, and sincerely, we hope to see you out at Authors and Dragons Con in August. Until then, bye!
Bye.
Goodbye, friends.